I am pleased to introduce LADN co-founder and outreach director, Emily Suñez.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. So happy to see so many people here. Familiar faces, new faces, thank you all so much for coming. We're so thrilled to have all of you here to celebrate LADN and to show support to those impacted by dysautonomia. So thank you for coming, for bidding in our auction, for volunteering, for buying raffle tickets, for donating, and yes, for buying a burger. Huge thank you to Pie and Burger, who has shown up year after year for LADN and donating 100% of sales today. Here at LADN, our work is rooted in one simple belief. There is nothing more powerful than community. Back in early 2018, I was recently diagnosed with a form of dysautonomia called POTS, which impacts the body's ability to circulate blood upward to the heart and brain when the body is upright. I was quite literally knocked down by dysautonomia, and I was so ill that I struggled to stand or even sit upright for any length of time. Most of all, I felt isolated. And that experience is one that a great deal of our members share. Many with dysautonomia, like I was, find themselves dealing with severe symptoms that really limit their ability to be out in the world. This is why networks like LADN are so important. What started as a group of 10 or so patients meeting up for the first time became something much bigger. It became a community, a family, a support system of now 780 patients and caregivers across the state of California. At its core, LADN exists to give those impacted by this disabling condition a home base, a place to find connection, resources, and understanding, a place where patients and caregivers can meet others who truly get it. The same symptoms, the same obstacles, the same fight for care. Together, we're working to find real solutions, from crowdsourcing resource lists to hosting educational webinars, like our recent one on navigating work with a disability, to running support groups where patients can find validation and connection, to providing direct financial assistance through our Healthcare Access Grant Program. LADN is working hard every day to fill the gaps that our healthcare system has left behind. We are here today celebrating unity and community because we believe that coming together can help ease the burdens of an illness that has no known cure, no targeted FDA-approved treatment, and far too little recognition. Just as it has done for me, LADN helps patients to feel less isolated, more connected, more hopeful, and better equipped to improve their quality of life. So thank you so much for supporting LADN, for being part of our community. Thank you so much to all the patients and caregivers who will share their stories today. We are so deeply grateful you're here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I also live with a form of dysautonomia called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS. I've had symptoms since puberty, but as many others have experienced, these symptoms worsened over time. Eventually, I was unable to sit up or even finish a meal without fainting. It's not unusual for people with dysautonomia to have symptoms that they kind of brush aside and live with for a long time, and then they suddenly worsen. Usually it's due to an injury or an illness. And then this is a life-altering change. One of the hardest parts of living with dysautonomia is what it takes from your life. Many of us can't reliably go out to a dinner, to attend events, or show up consistently for the people that we care about. And when we do push ourselves, often we pay for it for days, weeks, or even months afterwards. Relationships shift and friendships fade. People don't always understand why one day you might need a mobility aid and the next day you don't, or why you can't hang out 2 days in a row. There's often dismissal from our loved ones, from medical providers, and even from society in general. Careers become inaccessible, income decreases, and our medical costs skyrocket. Our ability to accomplish our dreams changes, and our identities shift. Over time, many of us become deeply isolated. This isolation is where LADN comes in. They host the virtual and in-person support groups, wellness and educational events, and provide financial support for medical care. There's no guilt if you can't attend an event, no judgment if you need to lie down, keep your camera off, or if you accidentally fall asleep during an event. And yet, no LADN event is ever empty. In a community where everyone is battling complex chronic conditions, this kind of engagement isn't a coincidence. It's because they work really hard to create a meaningful and supportive environment for us. LADN creates the spaces where people with dysautonomia can exist as they are, with reliably unreliable bodies and fluctuating needs.
Skills.
They're also doing critical work in education and access to care. Dysautonomia remains widely misunderstood by medical professionals. Some providers haven't even heard of it. Others may feel unequipped to deal with it, dismiss it exists, or avoid treating these patients altogether, refusing to accept them in their clinics. But patients shouldn't have to fight to be heard, or to educate their own clinicians just to receive care. As a future occupational therapist, that's something I want to help change with LADN. Our responsibility as providers is to listen, to learn, to help our patients thrive. LADN supports this by hosting educational events, fostering collaboration between the medical community and the people that it serves, and also connecting patients with knowledgeable medical providers through its providers list. They also provide direct support through the Healthcare Access Grant, which helps offset the costs related to medical care, adaptive equipment, and access needs, barriers that prevent these patients from receiving appropriate treatment and maintaining their quality of life. Additionally, even though dysautonomia is not rare, it's often treated like a zebra diagnosis or dismissed under labels like anxiety. There's a saying in medicine, when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. And this is usually used to dismiss these patients. But what we should be teaching our healthcare providers is that when you hear hoofbeats, to open your eyes and look closely, because sometimes it's a zebra, and we can tell this really easily if we begin to investigate. My goal as a clinician and someone living with dysautonomia is to help shift that pre-existing perspective and increase awareness so patients can get the treatment they need. LADN is a key part of that effort by increasing provider education and awareness and bridging the gaps between patients, providers, and societal awareness. I want to leave you with this. If you're in a position to give, your support directly translates to necessary medical care for this community, and also to a better quality of life for people living with dysautonomia. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Sohan and this is my mom Indu. We've been attending LADN, like the online support group, for about 2 years now. My chronic pain journey started about 3-4 years ago now when I was in 8th grade. I got a condition in my upper body called CRPS, and after countless numbers of doctors, different therapies, tools, I got better and was able to start in 9th grade, going to high school normally. But spring semester of that year, I got my second condition, my first dysautonomia condition, FND, and that affected me way, way more than CRPS had ever did. One, it affected my legs, so I could not walk, I couldn't go anywhere, I was completely barred from going to school or any kind of activity like that. And my legs would constantly give out, and more than that, my mental load on that was far more than even like my OCD and anxiety previously what had been. And luckily, after a few months, I was diagnosed with FND, functional neurological disorder. And I, after a few months, started going to doctors and was getting better. But the real turning point for me was starting the LADN support groups. And I'm really not just saying that because I'm here. But it was such like, of course, like having chronic pain for like 3-4 years, I know that there's so many other people my age who have it. But to be able to really see that and also have like conversations like, oh, I was trying to go to school today and I went, but I could only stay 15 minutes and I had to come home. I usually feel so pathetic in those situations, but I can text like the group chat and like there'll be 5 other people who are like, oh yeah, that happened to me, that happened the other day. Oh, something even worse happened. And it's really nice to have that community and just to know that there are other people going through what you're going through. And that takes off the anxiety, the mental load more than everything. Seeing people who are already better, who are doing good, but taking time out of their day just to show up to the meeting, to show that like they're doing good and that they can do stuff like go to college and stuff like that is so inspiring. Obviously, none of us are like professionals or anything, but just having that discussion like, oh, I had a similar symptom, what did I do? And sharing tools and different ventures has always been like the most helpful thing ever. Thank you so much. And it's been really amazing to have this group of people and super supportive, getting better every single day. Thank you so, so much.
Hi, everyone. I will probably be speaking from a from a parent's perspective. I'll be brutally honest here. When they first reached out to me, and my first instinct was like, of course, I'm going to write. I'm going to give a speech. And then a slow panic started to creep in. I'm like, oh my God, I have to actually write a speech and then speak in front of a group of people. And then, but he's definitely my inspiration. Like, he's a natural, I'm not. But then again, here I am, and I think this group makes it easy. There's no judgment here, so it makes it easy to talk in front of. I've realized that parenting is one of the hardest, challenges in my life. It's also the greatest privilege. It's also a very humbling experience, especially, being a parent to a child with some kind of special need. Even though, you read as many books as you can and everything, nothing prepares you for the journey that you go through. I was, again, just like him, lucky enough to, find the LADN support group. I don't know how I found it. I just happened to bump into it. I found it, and month after month, I know, very diligent. It's my thing where I can just be myself. I can say stuff, and there's no judgment whatsoever. And everybody's like super supportive there, and it's just something that I look forward to, honestly. So the other challenges that both my husband and I faced was going through the school system, going through so many IEP meetings. It was a huge challenge. Last year was probably one of the toughest years for him as well as us as a parent to figure out how to get through the high school system. The support group helped me. They gave me so many pointers. They gave me what they did. So I was able to take away so many things from the support group and then apply it. And then now the school is actually helping him, and they're doing a phenomenal job of understanding. And so almost like a trailblazer with F&D. So if anybody wants any school-related help, I'm sure Leah Norris from Reactive will vouch. She attended one of the meetings, one of the IEP meetings, trying to educate the school with, what F&D was all about. And I just want to thank both Emily and Sally for all the help. I mean, this is truly, they've done such a great thing by setting up LADN, the support system, the monthly support groups. We both cannot thank enough for what they have done. It truly means a lot to us. It's a place where there's no judgment. I can breathe. I can just listen. Sometimes I just go there to impart whatever knowledge that I have gained. I also want to give a shout out to Dr. Samantha Levy, who is a moderator of the support groups. She is phenomenal, and every month I go there, and I still, to this day, I take away something from the group. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for giving us to speak today. Thanks, everyone.
Well, hello. I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, and I represent this Pasadena area. I'm honored to be here with you to celebrate the LA Dysautonomia Network and the incredible community you've built. And can we give a huge round of applause to the co-founders, Sally Krueger-Wyman and Emily Suñez? all of you, co-founders, board members, volunteers, and every caregiver and advocate in this room, all of you are extraordinary. I remember 4 years ago when I was invited to my first dysautonomia fundraising event. I really did not know what to expect. I only had a bare knowledge of what dysautonomia was. But then I heard these stories and I saw how hard Sally and Emily were working to build this network, and I learned how isolating this condition was, and I saw the incredible importance of this network, and that's why I have come every year since. And so, what I know is that what began as a small support group has grown into a statewide network of over 780 patients and caregivers, that you've expanded your support groups, you've distributed over $12,000 in healthcare access grants, you've provided fire relief to members impacted by the Eaton and Palisades fires, and you've hosted dozens of education, wellness, and community events. And most importantly, you have provided safe spaces where people can be seen, supported, and as one person put it, so much less alone. Because we now come to understand how incredibly isolating it can be to have dysautonomia or chronic illness. It can mean years of unanswered questions and fighting to be believed in a fragmented healthcare system. Each year at this event, I cannot help but think about one of my constituents from Pasadena, Beverly. Beverly's daughter suffers from chronic illness due to complications from post-viral chronic fatigue syndrome. Like all mothers, Beverly hoped her daughter would grow up to pursue her dreams, and she did. She became an assistant marketing manager at a large international corporation, but her life came to a complete stop as she became sick with unexplained symptoms and chronic pain. Basic routine tasks like working at a computer or even riding in a car became incredibly difficult. But finally, after 16 years of suffering and dozens of doctors, she finally received a diagnosis. So I think about all the people across our community who, while fighting to manage chronic illness, now face losing the health care that they depend on. I mean, I think about all of you when we went through the hearings on what Republicans called the Big Beautiful Bill, which I call the Big Ugly Bill. Yeah. Because it ripped health care away from 15 million people in this country, from Medi-Cal, from the Affordable Care Act, because it removed the enhanced tax credits. And for vulnerable people, it is an absolutely horrendous thing. So we are fighting as much as possible to get this, get the tax credits at least to be restored. And we do it because we know that for people with dysautonomia, having this lack of health care is devastating. This is not a condition that you treat once and move on from. It requires ongoing care. It can take years to get a diagnosis. Many people cannot work full time, and that makes them especially reliant on Medi-Cal or affordable ACA coverage. But Medicaid or Medi-Cal is requiring now, because of this bill, for people to have strict work hour requirements or repeatedly prove that they qualify through complex paperwork. And for those with dysautonomia, symptoms can change day to day. And if someone can't meet those required hours or they miss a form one of those times, they can lose their coverage. And that is beyond cruel. So we're still seeing the long-term consequences of cuts to public health infrastructure and research funding, cuts that slow down the very scientific progress that patients with dysautonomia are counting on. For example, researchers are now using cancer therapies for autoimmune diseases. This progress would not have seemed possible not long ago. So that's why we have to continue the scientific research. I'm always pushing for increased funding for the National Institute of Health to support the groundbreaking medical research that will hopefully turn autoimmune diseases from mysteries into treatable and even curable conditions. And I'm a proud co-sponsor of the Treat Long COVID Act, which would provide federal funding to advance long COVID treatment and cures. And, of course, a co-sponsor of legislation to reverse the harmful Medicaid cuts and extend the ACA tax credits. And just last week, well, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy came before us on the Ways and Means Committee, and I challenged him on his dangerous vaccine rhetoric, because we know how important vaccination is for people with dysautonomia. So once again, I want to thank you for inviting me to join you today. Thank you for advocating and for educating. I look forward to witnessing firsthand just how your incredible organization continues to grow. Thank you all.
14 years ago this spring, I was living a full life in New York City, working in the Empire State Building, running in Central Park, and finishing up my master's in leadership. I had just gone skydiving in Santa Barbara for my 34th birthday and was dating with hopeful anticipation that I'd marry and have my first child before the age of 40. My job didn't pay a whole lot, $32,000 a year to be exact, but I loved what I did, and it came with certain perks, like a large one-bedroom apartment in Midtown Manhattan and the opportunity to take college students to Uganda. I had been working in higher education as a residence director, first here in California, then in New York. That's how I ended up in East Africa, where I fell acutely ill on May 17, 2012, and haven't been the same ever since. When I told my travel medicine doctor back in the US, I thought I may have picked up something in Uganda. He told me, I don't think so. You'd have a lot worse stuff going on. Your labs and EKG are normal, he reassured me. But maybe counseling would help. So rather than sending off a panel of tropical disease tests, he sent me off to see a therapist, suggesting my new onset headaches and severe energy deficits were psychosomatic symptoms. And that's how my dysautonomia story began. Again, I'm Katrina Blank, and I've been a member of this community since its inception in 2018, when a group of us first met in a Pasadena library. I'd received a diagnosis of postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome the year prior, and let me tell you, after 5 long years of searching for answers, being shuffled between specialists, and even removing an unrelated brain tumor, I was elated to receive a POTS diagnosis. I considered it a diagnosis upgrade after the MECFS chronic fatigue syndrome label Stanford offered me in 2016. Not only was my tilt table test objective evidence that I wasn't crazy or lazy, at that time, I believe I just needed to get in with the right POTS physicians who would prescribe me the right POTS medications. Then I thought I'd be able to get on with my life and return to work, and possibly even running. For some fortunate individuals, that is the case, but I've trialed over 100 treatments. I've seen leading POTS experts, including Dr. Grubb and Dr. Goodman, yet I still battle post-exertional malaise, migraines, and debilitating fatigue that often hold me hostage to my bed. I still fit the diagnostic criteria for MECFS along with POTS, 2 complex multi-system syndromes that didn't even have ICD diagnosis codes until 2022 and still don't have any FDA-approved treatments in 2026. 2 syndromes that have surged in prevalence since the pandemic added long COVID to our numbers. 2 syndromes that have lacked research funding for decades, perhaps because they are 2 syndromes that disproportionately impact women. Just over a year ago, Elon Musk posted a meme on X demeaning those dependent on government assistance. He ridiculed me and others who are struggling, chastising the poorest 10% in our nation by declaring us the parasite class. I never fathomed, after graduating at the top of my class in high school and obtaining a degree from the University of Michigan, that one day I would be categorized as a leech to society. The irony is, I became part of the parasite class because of parasites. As it turned out, prolonged malaria and schistosomiasis infections had triggered my autonomic dysfunction. But it wasn't just the parasites from Uganda that had put me in an economically precarious position as a single woman. The New York Workers' Compensation Board denied my claim, ruling that my malaria serology test positive was insufficient evidence to prove I had ever had malaria. Workers' compensation relief would have figured in the value of my Manhattan apartment and provided nearly 2.5 times more than my Social Security disability income. As a result, I've been dependent on government assistance and the generosity of others, including yours. I'm beyond grateful to have been selected as an LADN medical grant recipient. Thank you all for helping me access treatments recommended by my physicians that aren't covered by my insurance. And thank you for your generosity in funding LADN's programs that are life-giving to so many of us. For me, LADN has been a godsend, a constant in my life amid my chronic housing instability and financial insecurity. Thank you, Emily and Sally, for pioneering this incredible community, and thank you to everyone here who has kept it going.
Well, I too want to thank Emily and Sally. And as Congressmember Chu said, I was here for the first launching of this amazing organization. And 4 years, you have done a lot and you have changed people's lives. There is no question in my mind that I come here to learn more because contrary to what some people in politics will tell you, we don't know everything. We learn from people impacted so that we can make sure that we are providing the resources to support and actually, in this case, educate people about this horrible, horrible disease and how it really does change not only the person, but the family. And I know I speak for Sally in saying, Sally, you've got an amazing family that not only supports the work you're doing, but gives back in ways to this community that are insurmountable. Thank you to both Bob and Lisa for opening up your home today. But as I've said, and I told Sally this, I will be here every step of the way, every year that you do this, as long as I am in office. I'm termed out in 2 years, so you've got me for 2 more years, like it or not. But all kidding aside, thank you all for supporting this organization. Every little bit helps, and it's important for us to educate the medical community as well about this disease, because as I recall last year, someone talked about the fact that the medical community doesn't understand and doesn't properly diagnose. And that can make the difference between really quality of life as well as just the overall mental health of an individual who is suffering. Nothing is more frustrating than physically knowing you're sick but being told there's nothing wrong. And the mental health tolls or mental health toll that takes is great. So with that, I want to thank you for having me today. I do have a proclamation, but I'm staffing myself today, and I'm a lousy staff because I left at the office. So I'm fired. But I will be dropping that off by your home. But thank you for including me, and thank you again for lifting up this community in ways that are going to really, really change people's lives for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Barger. I want to thank all of our amazing speakers for sharing their stories with us and for being a part of our community. The Los Angeles Dysautonomia Network only exists because of the people who make a home within it. Our programs are only as powerful as they are because of the people who participate in them, who share their stories, who connect with others. We are a network. We are a community. So dysautonomia is an invisible illness. I might not look like I have a medical condition, but those who know my life journey know the many paths that have been blocked have been detoured as a result of illness. I am incredibly fortunate to be able to stand here today, To be able to stand at all to begin with, not always a given with this illness, but to stand in such community is truly an honor. Kalavanya, I want to thank you for the research you are doing and for the education that you are spreading in the medical community. It gives us all hope. Sohan and Indu, I was once a teen with dysautonomia who had to leave school and went through similar challenges. I didn't meet anyone else with dysautonomia until I was in my 20s, and I am so incredibly glad to hear that you are creating community in our teen and our caregiver groups, so thank you. Congresswoman Chu and Supervisor Barger, we are so honored by your presence. This large community of patients need support from government, especially in such fraught times, and we are incredibly fortunate to have such caring and beyond competent women representing us, so thank you. Lastly, Katrina, I can't believe it's been over 8 years since we met at LADN's first support group. You consistently show up for this community and are a selfless resource for others. So thank you. Thank you all. And with that, I want to take a moment to say a few more thank yous. Thank you to all of the amazing volunteers who have helped make this event possible. Shout out to Frank for your incredible tech support year after year, hiding over there. Thank you to my fellow LADN staff, co-founder and outreach director, Emily Suñez, and our new program coordinator, Gabby Hueza. We're thrilled to have you. Thank you to my parents, Lisa Krueger and Bob Wyman, for your support in hosting us in this beautiful garden today and for your sponsorship and for all of your amazing love and support. And thank you to Pie and Burger for donating 100% of food truck sales and also just for your really, really delicious food. Thank you to LA County Supervisor Kathryn Barger, the Karsh Foundation, Dante Quazzo, Wanda and Mark Sulzer, and all of our amazing sponsors and donors. We are so grateful. And thank you to everyone who has donated or bought something here today. It is only with your generosity that LADN exists to help people. And it is only thanks to you that we are able to continue growing in order to better help the people struggling with dysautonomia in Los Angeles and across California. One of the very hardest parts of dysautonomia is just how much is unknown. We don't understand its root mechanism and we don't have a clear treatment option. The one thing we are clear on is that this is an extremely hard condition to live with. Those of us with dysautonomia carry an invisible burden with us constantly as we dance through our lives. Dysautonomia can not only affect literally every system of the body, but it can also affect every aspect of a person's life. When you have an illness that reshapes your life into something you can no longer recognize, you deserve to have therapeutic support to navigate that change and to find a path forward. And you should not be barred from that support because you do not have the money. Because your dysautonomia medical treatments cost you $1,000 a month already. Because you are not well enough to work. Because you need to spend what you do have on rent in California and you simply cannot afford a therapist. Money should never be a barrier to care. LADN has an opportunity here. It is our goal in the next year to bring on more licensed mental health care providers, to expand our mental health care programming, increasing the number of support groups we offer, and reaching more people. With dysautonomia, thank you. With dysautonomia-informed practitioners, we can support patients as they navigate the complexities of this really stubbornly tough physical illness. Now, we are a small grassroots organization. That means that the money that you donate isn't just a grain of sand that goes into making a whole beach. No, the money that you donate goes somewhere specific. It goes to hiring support group facilitators, developing a workshop, funding a healthcare access grant. We are a young organization that is rapidly growing. Our community grew 51% in the past year alone. So your donation makes a clear impact in our ability to help real people. With your support, we can continue running our programs that leave people feeling more connected to an understanding community, more equipped to advocate for themselves in a medical setting, somewhere here, and better able to access care. With your help, we can expand our mental health care program, hiring practitioners to lead dysautonomia-informed therapeutic small groups. The money that you donate is not a grain of sand to us. It is a really huge brick that builds the foundation upon which LADN stands. So please,
bid on an auction item, donate and help us meet our 25K match, buy a necklace to win a chance at Magic Castle tickets. Every necklace gets you a life in the game. Eat those delicious French fries and an extra piece of pie, all so that you can play a part in helping people who have to carry with them constantly this extra invisible challenge of dysautonomia. Thank you all for listening. I'm so grateful for all of you. I love this community. Now, go back to enjoying yourselves. Thank you all so much.